Hiya Mark, always great to work with you on the range. Really productive session. We're certainly making progress. Hopefully you enjoyed the images I emailed across to you yesterday, highlighting some of the changes you've made since that first chat we had up at the golf club, probably about 18 months ago now. So you are seeing some nice changes in the swing. Certainly we're looking at here top left, certainly more downward movement from the top, but still needs to be more. So that club now is slightly out in front of the hands, coming through into P6. Shaft slightly too steep from P4 to P5 and 5.5, so we want to see this shaft midway through the arm at that point. Having said that, that's a good progression from where we were a few months back, so there's a little bit more downward movement of accumulator 4 not working out quite as quickly at the start of the downswing. And this was you towards the end of the session trying to work on that drill where we release accumulator 4 sooner. So we're going to move accumulator 4 faster and more downwards. And the key here, which you hit on yourself, is that as you do that, you were feeling like you were dumping accumulator 2. So when we were working on the improved P6, which I'll come to shortly, that's why we emphasised increasing the pressure on pressure point 1 and 2 during the drill. So you can see as you do that, arms stay in for much longer. So that's the feeling. And then we watch here now, we'll just carry on and hit it. At this position now, we're getting the shaft in a much shallower position, moving towards that mid bicep, which will be ideal. Coming in behind the hands a little bit more at 6. And as we said before, because of the movement of accumulator 4, 1 and 2, the wrists now get dumped less from P6 to P7, so there's less of an uncocking of the wrist. Shaft sitting a little bit lower. I like the work that we did using the shoebox as well, because that had a dramatic effect on your vertical swing plane. But you can see the gap between the shaft and the ideal shaft plane at address, which would be running through your belt line, has decreased a little bit, which means the more you hit down, the more you hit out. Remember, when the shaft sits too vertical, the downward has less effect on the outward. So trying to flatten out or shallow out the vertical swing plane, and we're trying to work the accumulators a little bit differently from the top. And the key here that we're trying to work on now from face on is we want a P6 that is more advanced, so we want the left arm further forward so that the release point is more over the ball, and we also want it lower. We want the hands and the shaft to be lower at P6. So we want the left arm further forward, the hands and the shaft lower, as we see here with Charlie Wee. We'll look at you at the start of your session, and again this is much better than we've had it in the past. Left arm not quite far enough forward, hanging on to 1 a little bit too much, and as a result 2 starts to get dumped just a fraction too soon. So we've got a little bit of shaft lean, which is nice, but nowhere near as much as we want. We were working on the drill of pushing down on pressure point 1 and 2 and swinging to P6, trying to feel as much advanced and low as we could. And what we see here now is you towards the end of your session, still hanging on to accumulator 1 a little bit too long, club getting a little bit more advanced, or the arm getting a little bit more advanced, getting a little bit lower, and as a result getting a touch more shaft lean, much more appropriate shaft lean at P7. You can see also that the left knee is now starting to work out just a fraction more, and he's staying out at the appropriate amount, through impact. So slight improvements there in the linear movement as well. What we've got to learn to do after that is to extend and push up off the ground. But believe you me, Mark, if you can get that club coming in on a shallower plane and you start to get that ball going in the direction and the shape that you want, you can soon learn to push up off the ground at the appropriate stage to shallow the descent. It started to show signs of that towards the end of your session, where you had a few sort of 4 down with an inline swing, giving us the path that we were looking for. So good luck with it. Look forward to working with you again in the coming month.